Hello chess lovers! Welcome back to my channel. In today's video we see an endgame position where the material is equal. At first glance it looks like white should win easily, but black's pawns are extremely dangerous. White is winning, but he has only one move that wins. All other obvious moves leads to a draw. Pause the video for a few seconds and try to find the winning idea. Test your understanding of Zugzwang and tempo. Only one move maintains the win. Before we find the win, let's look at why the obvious moves fail. Pawn to f7 leads to a draw. King a1 leads to a draw. Pawn to e3 leads to a draw. And also pawn to e4 leads to a draw, because all of these moves lose the initiative immediately. For example, pawn to f7 by white, then we have black king moves to g7, pawn to e6 by white, king to f8, pawn to e4, king to e7, pawn to e5 by white, and now black's pawn moves to b5, white king to a1, pawn to b4, the white king moves to b2, black king to f8, and again we have white king to a1. And white has no chance to win this game. White has no way to break through. Back to our position. The winning sequence starts with pawn to e6. That is the only winning move. Black king to g6. Now we have white pawn to e7, king to f7. The black king cannot capture on f6 because then white promotes to a queen with the e-pawn. If white plays now pawn to e4, the game is a draw. Why? Let's see. Pawn to e4, black king to e8, pawn to e5, king to f7. The white pawn moves to e6 with check. Black cannot capture this pawn, so black plays king to e8, white king to a1, b5 by black, king to b2 by white, b4 by black, king to a1, and now we have black pawn to b2 with check. White has to capture. Then black plays pawn to b3, king to a1. Then we have pawn to b2 with check again. White has to capture. Pawn to a1 with promotion to a queen and check. Again white has to take. And then we have a draw because of a stalemate. Black cannot make any move. Back to our main line. Now we will see the winning move. Instead of pushing to e4, white must play pawn to e3. The winning move is a waiting move. Fight for a tempo. Here in this position, white's winning technique is to play waiting moves, forcing the opponent into Zugzwang until they are compelled to make a move that weakens their position and ultimately loses the game. Black plays king to e8, white pawn to e4, king to f7, pawn to e5, king to e8, pawn to e6. White has successfully forced black into Zugzwang. Black is out of king moves and must now move the pawns. Black pawn to b5, White king to a1, b4 by black now, white king to b2, black has only one move, pawn to a1 promotes to a queen with check, white captures, and then black is forced to play pawn to b2 with check, white captures, pawn to b3 by black. White will win because he saved that one tempo with e3 earlier. So white plays now pawn to f7 with check. The black king must capture on e7. Then the white king captures the black pawn on b3. Black captures the pawn on e6. And then the white f-pawn promotes to a queen. Game over. White is winning easily now. We saw a perfect example of Zugzwang and display of an endgame precision. If you enjoyed solving this puzzle with me, please make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to sharpen your skills with our daily chess content. Thanks for watching.